So last week, Asmongold essentially got canceled for saying that Palestinians essentially deserve to be genocided, and people obviously were pissed off about that. So was I. I made a whole video covering this whole situation. If you want to watch that to, see what kind of led up to this. But since we already talked about what, caused all this controversy, now we're going to talk about some of the aftermath. Now, I believe I talked about it in my last video. If I didn't, there has been an update in terms of where he is with OTK and his PC company that he runs, I believe, which is that he is no longer in a leadership role with either of those. He has stepped down from OTK and I think it was Starlight PC or whatever it was called, but he is stepping away from that. We're going to watch his video that he did on this called My Plans Moving Forward, as well as some updates regarding it, at least when it comes to his Reddit apology, which is kind of different from his video apology. So let's just watch this video. There is some pre-watching. I remember quite a bit of what he said. The video apology seems very genuine. But we'll get to the comparison between this apology and what he said on Reddit.
Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you all about what my reason was for getting suspended on Twitch and also what my plans are going forward. I'm going to try and structure this video into two parts, where the first part is going to be me talking about the Twitch suspension, second part is going to be talking about myself. And the first thing I want to start off with is something that I know it might sound a little bit insincere because of how ridiculous this is, but I really mean it, and if you listen to the whole video, I hope you can see why. Everybody who's come and spoken out and talked to me and said stuff about me, aside from the, oh, you should kill yourself or something like that, I want to say that I really appreciate you. And I think this has been something that's a long time coming, and I actually think that this is something that not only I deserved, but it's also something that I needed. And I want to talk about what the reason for that is, but I want to start off and just make sure that that's actually very clear. So a couple of days ago, I made some comments about Palestine and also about Hamas and, some just general, basically opinions that were trivializing the genocide that's happening there. And I don't really want to mince words or try to oh, I wasn't justifying or, promoting it. I said something about it that was disgusting. I said that I didn't care about innocent people getting killed by another force, by anything. And I think that that's a horrible, disgusting, mean-spirited thing to say. And I don't necessarily think that it was really racist, really. But when I'm using language like Palestinians or the people there, rather than what my real language was...
Yeah, guys, it's not racist. I just thought an entire race... I said that an entire race of people were inferior because of their culture, so I didn't care if they were being genocided or not. That's not racist, right? And here's the thing, just starting off with... what he said so far, I do think he is very genuine, and I think a big deal with that has to come from the fact that people who aren't just random people from the internet, friends of his, came out and not only did they talk about it publicly, but they definitely reached out to him privately and say hey man, this is I don't know what you're doing, you need to stop, you're going too far, you're too far gone, but not that. I mean, that would imply that they're... I think they reached out to try help him from this road that he's been going down. And we'll talk about the future of, what his future is going to be like. Because when I first heard this, I only saw snippets of the apology of this video on the internet. And it definitely seemed sincere. I was definitely hopeful to see where he might go from this. I think the best possible option for him should just to be focusing on just playing video games, honestly, and maybe just sticking to that. Maybe get away from some of his right-wing Gamergate stuff that he does. It doesn't seem like that's the case when we look at his Reddit apology, but we'll continue with this. But I think this apology is very genuine. I think it is kind of polished though for more of a mainstream, the average audience, people who are going to much rather watch this than look at what he said on Reddit, probably because that's not going to have as many eyeballs on it outside of this. So I think there is some, PR play here in terms of making himself look a little bit better, but I do think overall the apology and wanting to change is genuine. I do believe that.
I've always been very outspoken and very against religious extremism, and I still am. I think that any religion and any way of thinking that's going to cause you to put other people in like kind of positions below you as like gay people, women, people with disabilities, anything like that, I think that that's a really bad position to have, and I really don't like that. And I think that my problem and my fault here was that I was making a criticism of religious extremism, and I made no effort. And I feel like almost I've rewatched the clip, right? Or a number of the clips. And it's like I've almost made an effort not to draw a distinction between the two things. I think that a lot of us here can easily say that we're against religious extremism. And I am.
And now I have seen his debate with Hassan that I talked about in the last episode. When I made the last episode, I didn't watch it. Mostly because a lot of the opinions I saw out of that was mostly it was just Asmongold repeating a lot of talking points, which was very similar to his debate with Hassan about the college protest that I made another video on back when that happened. And he did the same thing there, so I was like, okay, I could see, I know how this is going to play out. He's just going to use the same points. It seems like that's what it was from people's reaction to it. I'll watch it in my own free time. I did, and I was right. And everyone was correct. It was essentially him making the same points, and those points mostly being that he was taking other countries that were religious, Islamic fundamentalist, like Saudi Arabia, and he was contributing the way that they operate to Palestinians, even though they're not the same thing. And they don't operate dependently on one another. Palestinians operate in the way that Israel basically essentially wants them to operate in a way because they are under their control. They're, it's an apartheid state run by Israel. Saudi Arabia doesn't really have a part to play in that. So like using what Saudi Arabia, how the way that Saudi Arabia operates and attributing that to Palestinians it makes no sense. It doesn't work. And when I listened to that debate, I wasn't so much like angry at his position. I was just so much like, okay, I'm getting tired of this. It's just running in circles. It was obvious that at that time he did not change his mind on it. I think he might have like later, maybe he was like, I don't think when you're arguing with someone and trying to make points, you're automatically going to be like, oh, you know what? That's a good point. I'm going to change my opinion on this entirely right on the spot. I think it definitely took some time for that debate to set in, or for him to be like, you know what? Maybe my points are ridiculous. Maybe I should think differently about this. And then his opinion started to slowly change alongside, friends of his reaching out to him. By the way, people, who also share Islamic beliefs, who are friends with him, like Muslims who are friends with him, having those beliefs, reaching out and being like, hey man, like this is how I feel. I think you're, losing control of yourself. I think you need to change, shit like that. So I think, it's why I do think this apology is genuine. I do think that debate, as well as, close personal friends of his who are definitely affected by what he said, reaching out to him and, telling it how it is, definitely led to him changing his mind on this.
But whenever I categorize everybody in the area as this like group, then I'm the asshole. And I was the asshole. I had a lot of you guys tell me that. And it's taken me, this is what's so crazy about it, is that I think this has been going on now for like 2 years. I think that I've been slowly devolving into the most mean-spirited, I don't really even know what the word is for it. Just like the most mean-spirited, rude, like nasty, like just callous, psychopathic version of myself. I think that I've been devolving into this. And a lot of my friends have told me this. My dad has told me this. He said, "You've got to chill out. You've got to calm down."
That's how I definitely felt when he did his reaction to the police storming into the college protest to break up the camps they had on a public property. By the way, they weren't illegal whatsoever. They essentially stormed in and arrested all those people because, as they said, it was for their safety. Because counter protests were sparking violence in that area, so they arrest the people who weren't starting the violence. That's how you handle that situation. But when the police were going in there arresting them, being very violent to these protesters, he was laughing. He was just like giggling like a little squirrel girl about it. And when I saw that, I was like, "This is like this guy is like disturbed. This is an evil man." And the fact that he kind of notices that, I don't know. Again, we'll see where this goes with him, but at least I feel like he has some level of self-reflection that I think is very important when it comes to like changing how you operate as a human being. I don't think this makes up for anything, and that's something I want to get out of the way. I me personally, I haven't really heard of him until he really started popping up for being this person, this like gamergate, mean-spirited person who, says shit like that and like, laughs at the idea of college students standing up against genocide, getting beaten up by police. Like, that was kind of my introduction to him. So it wasn't a good one at all. And I think it's going to take a lot for me to be like, you know what, I don't know. Like, I don't know how many people are going to be affected, like, are going to forgive him for this, because what he said about Palestine is obviously nasty shit, and it's going to impact a lot of people on a very personal level too. I think it always deals with like, how do you handle the situation? And I think he's going to need to make some very big changes outside the changes that he says he's going to make in this video in order to do that. We haven't gotten to what he plans on doing, but essentially it is that he wants to clean up his life essentially in his entire house. He basically wants, better his life, better his worldview, but he still wants to make like the Gamergate, but he still wants to make like the Gamergate shit. I think he's just planning on stepping away from politics, but he still plans on doing like, Sweet Baby Inc. is ruining the gaming industry, those type of videos. And I think he doesn't realize that that's just kind of a gateway to it. Like, when you make that sort of like chronically online, Gamergate shit, it just eventually leads you further down that alt-right pipeline in a sense, or just a right-wing pipeline in general. So I don't, hopefully at some point he understands that if he ends up going down the same path as beforehand, eventually, hopefully he at least has, he reflects back to this moment that should be a big game changer for him and be like, man, I'm kind of just going back down this slope. Maybe I should reevaluate my entire stance on this thing, since it's obviously leading me back to where I was beforehand that got me hated on by everyone. Like, maybe I should reconsider this, or who knows, hopefully this time away makes him realize that. But he needs to realize at some point that continuing the Gamergate, the DEI shit, it only really serves as a gateway to where he was before.
I've been like, oh, that old man doesn't know what he's talking about. And I've finally had some level of accountability for that. And thank God. I look back at some of the things that I've said and done over the past 2 years, and I don't think that I've been wrong about everything, obviously, right? But there have been ways that I've communicated and ways that I've acted that are indefensible. And I think looking back on it, it's just disgusting. And it's something that when you get lost in the sauce and you get fixated around like listening and reading feedback and, just getting hyper fixated, this is like your entire life, you lose a perspective on reality, and you lose a perspective on the world. And I think that that perspective was brought into perspective yesterday and the day before, when I was making comments like this. And I feel I feel so stupid. It's crazy. So I'm getting all these people making negative comments toward me. Everybody is telling me like, oh, go kill yourself, I hate you, everything like this. Do you know who reached out to me? And they wanted to talk and have a conversation and see if I was okay. It's people that were Islamic and people that were had fucking family in Palestine. And how humiliating is that? How absolutely humiliating is that? And these were the people I was trying to say were bad. And I feel like such a fucking stupid asshole. I really do. I've always been I guess like I've always been kind of like an atheist, and even
as someone who, I'm an atheist too, and I've definitely had what some people call Reddit atheist moments when I was younger, and I think that's where when I saw some of that, like those arguments that he had with Hassan when it came to their latest conversation regarding his comments on Palestine. It was very much like you can tell he was definitely a Reddit atheist in that sort of sense. And yeah, it's a thing like when you have those like I've done stupid shit too when I was younger in regards to how I voice my opinion on religion that I don't look too fondly on. But I think at the same time, it is one of those things, again, you just kind of have to reflect on that and be like, am I really doing anything good by doing what I did? No? Then I probably just shouldn't. I probably should just like back in the day, I thought like, oh, if you believe in religion, you're just a dumbass. But now I'm just kind of like, I don't really care. Like, this is my opinion. If you have other opinions, as long as you're not being a dickhead about it, I don't really care. You can believe in what you want. Just don't be an asshole. And that's the thing, like growing up, I've had many like religious friends, and that was like a big thing for me where I was just like, my friends are religious. They're not assholes about it. So why should I really be that much of an asshole for no reason when it's not warranted in some situations?
As a young kid, I was raised Roman Catholic, and I was always very defiant towards it. And I've always had a negative opinion of religion, and I've also had a negative opinion of religious cultures. And I think that that opinion is definitely shaped by the media that I've created, and the media I've created for myself, and then also just the media that exists, the media that I've chose to seek out as well. And I think that media has allowed me to have certain predispositions and certain biases that the truth is that don't have any sort of relation to what my own real life has been experienced, or my own real life experience has been, excuse me. And so I've been spending a lot of time talking to those people, and I've seen people like fans of mine, like I had viewers messaging me on Discord, like, why are you saying this? Like, do you want to talk? Do you want to, like, I'm willing to talk to you, and like, like let's try to work this out, right? We love you. And I scrolled up on their messages, and these are people that messaged me in like 2016, 2017, 2018, like, I love your content, I love your stream, I love you, right? And now they get to hear this from me, and I just feel like such a stupid, belligerent fucking asshole. I really do. And I'm sorry. I really am. I think that it's extremely fair to criticize religious extremism, and I think that it's extremely unfair to categorize everybody in part of that group as religious extremists. I think it is, and I'm really sorry for that. I've just been a fucking dick. And it's weird because yesterday I woke up and I didn't know if I was going to get suspended or not, and I had planned on streaming and everything, and I actually got a text message from one of my mods. They said, oh, I heard about the suspension, I'm sorry. And I was like, I remember I was like driving, and like, you'd think that like your heart rate would go up, but if anything, I felt more relaxed. I felt like finally I have a moment to just take a step back and breathe and think for myself and just stop just like get out of my own head. And I spent a long time like just writing basically a list of all of these things that like I think that I should be doing with my life. And this is going to be kind of the second part, by the way, of the video. Comments that I made were pretty much about religious extremism. I think it's bad, but I've categorized a lot of people in that way that was unfair. It's wrong for me to have done that. I said something that was bad. I should not have said that.
All right, we'll probably stop here, mostly because I feel like everything I've said in regards to this apology, again, I have like watched it beforehand, so it is a bit of pre-watch. I don't think I'm trying to like remember what else he talks about in this video, and I don't think there's really anything else for me to say outside of one thing, and that is in regards to him cleaning his room. And I'm not doing this for jokes. That's the thing. This isn't meant to be like a jokey thing. I'm not gonna do like the joke that everyone makes that, oh, you know, he called other people inferior. He, you know, lives in a dirty room. I did kind of make that joke in the previous video, but I just want to say this. I do relate to Asmongold in some way. You know, we're not exactly alike. I do have a problem in terms of keeping myself like in my space very clean. I don't have the problem that he does when it comes to like using dead animals as alarm clocks. Like my alarm clock is my phone. That's it. I don't need a dead rat or whatever he uses in order to wake me up in the morning. But you know, I can like I think it's like the way that I am sometimes messy is nowhere near him just from this one room alone. Like you can see all the trash behind him. But I used to have that problem. It was, again, nowhere bad at this, but sometimes I have issues where, like, sometimes I'm just not as cleanly as I want to be. Maybe I'll leave a few things out that I should have put away. And to me, a big thing about fixing that, even now, I'm not perfect. It's a lot better than what it was, but still, like, you know, sometimes I can be a messy person, but there was a point in my life where I wasn't really feeling good about myself, and the environment where I lived in, I wasn't in the real right headspace, and I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop everything that I'm doing. That, like, you know, every single day I have this regiment that I do, but in doing that regiment, it makes me unable to focus on, you know, staying clean and shit like that. I'm more focused on this than making sure my, you know, apartment and all my chores are kept up. I should just take a day, focus on cleaning that, and maybe it'll make me feel better. And it did. So, like, I think him being like, I'm gonna clean up my house, hopefully will make him realize some of the other stuff that he doesn't seem to realize when it comes to the way he operates as a content creator and the way that he thinks. Hopefully, cleaning his house fully will allow him to have a clearer mind, because when everything around you is so cluttered, I don't know, maybe it is, I'm not sure if it's just me, but like when the area around you is so cluttered, I think it's a lot harder. Like when it's just such a mess, it's definitely harder for you to think straight. I believe there is some truth in that. So I think by him taking the time to clean out his house, get everything in order, hopefully that will make him see, like, oh, maybe I should stop doing like the DEI die videos, because that's just leading me down this right-wing pipeline that results in me saying shit like, you know, Palestinians deserve to be genocided, which isn't new when it comes to Western media, honestly, when it comes to people just saying it. The thing is that usually, and you'll see this with a lot of, like, you saw this with like Bill Maher recently when he did that open letter to Chapel Roan, or when you saw Joe Biden during like a Holocaust Remembrance Day being like, oh, Palestinians have this ancient hatred towards Jews, like just being incredibly Islamophobic, just being like, oh no, they are just like, it's like their hatred of Jews are just like baked into their genes. Like that's something that the president of the United States said. But the reason why I think Asmongold is getting a lot of like hate sent towards him, more so than those individuals, is A, he's on the internet, so it's a lot easier to directly confront him about this sort of thing. With Bill Maher, he's on TV. He has distance in regards to what the internet has to say. Same with Joe Biden. He's he's the president. So really, you're only going to see pushback when it comes to like reporters. And even then, as we see with a lot of Western media, they're more pro-Israel than anything. So it's not like you're going to see a lot of blowback from that. But obviously, this is going to like be a bigger controversy when it comes to like, the online sphere, because that's where he exists. That's where his fans exist. That's a lot of people who saw these things exist. Like, you're not going to walk down the street, find a random person, go up to them and be like, hey, did you hear about the Asmongold thing? They'll probably not know what you're talking about. So it's like, in regards to that, I lost my train of thought. But, oh, yeah, him cleaning his house. Like, him cleaning his house hopefully will have him realize that by doing all this Gamergate shit, it only really leads back to this sort of hateful frame of mind where you're saying that an entire race of people deserve to be genocided. And hopefully that happens. Hopefully not. I mean, the thing that led me to like kind of look around and be like, I should really clean up my area, it wasn't because I said an entire group of people deserve to be genocided. It was more just like, man, I'm really not like in a good mental health. Like, I'm not doing well mentally. I'm not going to get too much into it. It's very personal stuff. I don't want to get into that. But, like, it was a personal decision. It wasn't, me getting sent a lot of hate for some heinous shit that I said. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Going to that Reddit comment he made, it doesn't seem like he plans on, getting away from this. The vibes and feel of the stream recently have been a lot more tense, and a lot of that is my fault. I think that means my first stream back is going to be playing... Oh, if you think that means my first stream back is going to be playing Dustborn and promoting Sweet Baby Inc., I think you'll be very disappointed. I'm not changing anything other than trying to be more positive and less mean-spirited. So it doesn't seem like he's really changing all that much. Like, again, I don't know how you can see yourself talk about, Gamergate shit and be like, no, this stuff isn't, mean-spirited or whatever. I just don't like it when queer characters are in my video games. Even if he himself is, like, not necessarily homophobic, that doesn't mean him making a video being like, oh, there's this queer person in the video game and it feels forced, isn't going to invite, people who don't like queer people, and they're going to become a part of that community and reinforce that within the community. It's just, I don't know. And then there was a comment to this: take a break, us chuds will be here waiting for you to make streaming great again. Don't worry, I'll react to a DEI equals die gaming video first day back to stream. Jesus Christ. Hopefully some time away will change his opinion on this, but who knows. But yeah, that's all I really had to say on the topic. Hopefully he changes. I don't think he's going to make another stupid comment like, Palestinians deserve to be genocided again, but it doesn't seem like he seems to want to change his mind on Gamergate reaction videos or whatever, so who knows.